right, this is Milana Leshinsky and Jennifer Bourne. We are here to talk about content strategies for coaches. We are recording this conversation because we are also creating content as we are speaking. So Jennifer she runs coachfactory.co and I run coachinggenie.com. So we just decided to really partner in this conversation together, hopefully one of many, because Jen is fascinating and a really great conversation starter and interviewer, and really enjoy talking to you. So Jennifer, let's jump in.
Sounds great. So the question is, where are we going to start talking about content creation? Because when it comes to creating content, especially if you're a coach, there's the content that you need to run your business. There's the content that you create for courses or programs to support your coaching. And then there's content for marketing to help get people to your website and help people find you and discover you and figure out that you're who they've been looking for.
Yeah, I mean, content is how you put yourself out there for potential clients to find. And if it's the wrong content, you'll get the wrong clients, right? How many times we've put something out there, somebody comes into our funnel or into our world, and we realize that we've attracted somebody that is not aligned with what we do, with our coaching style, with our beliefs and how we can help them. So creating the right content is super important, putting it out there. But yeah,
Yeah.
like I never thought about it as content creation for, the different purposes, but especially to attract the right clients, but also to position yourself as an expert on a topic, because I don't know about you, but I don't like selling or sales. That's kind of been like
Who does?
the story of my life. A lot of people do like it. Believe it or not, I have a
I
lot of
I
people.
work with a lot of freelancers, a lot of coaches and consultants, and rarely do I ever come across somebody who's like, I love selling. Most people get into business because they like the thing that they do,
Yeah.
especially coaches and consultants, right? Coaches get into coaching because they love connecting with people and they love transformation and they love helping people and seeing that journey that someone goes on from where they are when they get started to where they want to be and helping them get there, not because we like selling. so
Yeah.
so one of the easiest ways to not have to sell, to not have to do that dog and pony show and pitch your services and have to convince somebody that you're worth investing in is by creating content, by sharing your expertise and your knowledge, by sharing your advice and your experiences and your stories and the success stories of your clients and customers. Because whether it's a podcast interview or a video like this, or it is an article or a blog post or a social media post, every time you're authentically putting yourself out there and you're talking about your stories and your advice and your lived experiences and you're helping other people, it's giving them a little taste of what it would be like to interact with you or work with you. And it's positioning you as being knowledgeable and being trustworthy. And it's reinforcing your credibility. It's keeping you top of mind, right? And it's helping them get closer to that goal or helping them get ready for hiring you.
And there is this idea of pre-selling where I love that even before somebody gets on a call with me or on a webinar with me, they already um, saw me out there. They've seen and read or watched my content. And that makes selling so much easier. So I always like to say, I didn't like sales. So I became a great marketer. And marketing, especially when you're a coach or an expert, has a lot to do with content creation. And a lot of times coaches are really worried about, how do I stand out when there's so many coaches out there? Like, where are my clients? And I think that when you create content in whatever format you're doing it in, you are essentially creating something that is uniquely yours. Like you said, that you tell your story, share your experience, and people resonate with certain coaches and don't resonate with certain other coaches. And that's how you attract your perfect clients. I actually had just signed up for a coaching program myself a few weeks ago. And it was very unusual because the content was actually a story that a woman posted on her Facebook profile. I don't know how I came across it. I was just in my news feed, and there was her story, and it was well told, and it was so relevant. I don't think I ever remember signing up for a program from a Facebook post. And there it was. I signed up. It was $300 and I was in because I connected and related to her story. So storytelling is also content, and especially when you do it masterfully. I don't know that I'm the best storyteller. I'm more of a teacher. I don't know about you, Jennifer, but I teach and I tend to have like,
Yeah.
here's how you do things. Once in a while, though, I'll tell a story, and people always comment on that because, like, well, that makes you a real person versus just a teacher who um, interprets information for the ease of use or for educational purposes. Like, wow, there's a real person behind it. And so that's how you start
Well,
connecting with them.
if you think about your stories, right, stories often have a point of vulnerability in them,
Yes.
right? They have that moment of, oh my gosh. So they have a story, usually they're overcoming something. It's a realization that something is wrong or something needs to change, right? Or you made a mistake and you fixed it, or you had an embarrassing moment and so you did something different. Like most stories have a point of vulnerability. And when you aren't afraid to be vulnerable, when you're not afraid to not be perfect publicly and put on that facade of being the perfect professional, right? Those vulnerable moments, the more relatable you are in your content, the easier it is for somebody to connect with it and say, oh, you're just like me, or I was in that spot, or you were in that spot. I'm in that spot right now. You can help me get through it because you got through it, right? Or this is something I'm dealing with. So when you tell stories, it takes general boilerplate content that any coach could create. Because let's face it, it's not like most of us are saying something that's groundbreaking or new, right? So you can take content that's fairly general and make it totally unique to you by working in those stories and those points of being vulnerable and those ahas and those light bulb moments and realizations, because those are those tangible things that somebody is going to grab onto and they're going to say, ah, this is my person. I want to learn from you. I want to coach with you. I want to work with you. You've either done what I want to do and overcome what I wanted to overcome, or you worked with people like me and you shared stories from somebody like me. And I love that you said, right, you didn't like sales, so you leaned into marketing. I tell people I hate marketing, so I lean into branding.
Ah,
Because like marketing for me, marketing and sales are very tied together, right? Marketing is getting somebody to take an action. Marketing is getting a conversion. Branding is building your authority and your expertise and your reputation to the point where it's totally undeniable that you are the best for the person that needs what you do, that you
I
are
feel
the
like
best fit, the only choice. So I'm like, I would way rather somebody come to a sales call saying, I've read every single thing on your website and oh my gosh, I finally found, I'm like so glad I found you. How do I start? How do I pay? I'm ready to do this right now. Then me have to talk, like go through the whole shebang of selling somebody.
that's so
So
funny because that's not how I define marketing, branding, and sales. To me, marketing was always about building your authority, becoming, getting people to be
yeah,
aware of what you do and how you are different from others. And then sales is the point of like this closing or closure of the sale. But we can talk about that another time. I do love what you said about my
yeah,
person, finding my person. I think that
yeah.
that is like, that's what everybody wants. And so to find my person or to make somebody feel like this is my person, you really need to touch them in their heart. and stories do that. So
Yeah.
that makes me really think like, oh, is my content sometimes too cold and too methodical? Because I create a lot of how-to content, and I
Same,
and I really
same.
want to, touch your heart, with so I do intentionally push myself, like, did I connect with the person's heart as I wrote this? And if not, is there a story or an example that I could share, or something vulnerable that I could mention? But that finding my person is critical when you are, especially in the coaching world, because you want to work with coaches who feel like it's my person. They get me, they understand me, they empathize with my experience, and we have
Yeah.
something in common. Maybe I am where they were, 5, 10 years ago. So I think that that is really important. The other part of content creation is, um, a lot of times people don't know what kind of content create, like what about, what their content should be about. Now, with ChatGPT, this should never be a problem, ever, ever, ever again, because you can just ask for ideas. But I still think it's important to kind of have those, these are my topics. These are the themes that I talk about. So I think that not knowing or having like this blank page, metaphorically speaking, maybe you're recording a video, you're doing an audio, or you're writing a blog post, but not starting from scratch is the biggest challenge for people who need to create content. Is I'm always slowed down by that. Like, what do I talk about? I can't go
Well,
live
here's
if
the
I don't have a
thing.
topic.
Content, like creating content, is the majority of my entire business. So no good copywriter, no content creator worth their salt starts from scratch. But yet, business owners and coaches who need to create content for marketing sit down and they're like, all right, I opened up this Google Doc or I opened up WordPress. What should I talk about today? And you're staring at a blank screen. There's this disconnect that people think, oh, okay, I'm going to start from scratch. Idea magically appear. But the pros know that that's not how it works, right? You identify your core topics that you're going to focus on building your brand reputation around first. And then you use frameworks and outlines and things to help you create content fast. So before you can get really good at creating content, you have to define your core brand messaging for who you are as a coach. And when I work with clients on creating content, on creating a plan for their content, a strategy for their content, we first look at, what do you coach? Like for coaches, we look at, what do you coach on, right? So what's your coaching specialty or your niche? What problems are you solving? What obstacles are you overcoming? Right? What mindsets are you shifting? And what outcomes are you coaching to? And those are the things that you want to create content around, because those are the things that reinforce all of your coaching and build up your authority on those things. You want the content that you create to support your revenue generating offers, the coaching packages and programs and courses and things that you sell, right? So you want all your content to support the way that you make a living, right? And the opportunities that people have to engage with you. So
Well, one
that's
of
where I
the
like to start.
I I think that that's really important. So let me just repeat what you said, because I want to make sure that we grab that piece. You want to create content around the offers that you have or that you're making. Otherwise, there's no
Yes.
point to creating content. You don't need to create content for the sake of content. It needs to all connect and tie back into what you're offering. It
Yeah.
actually makes me think, as somebody who sells software, I looked at Coaching Genie and I said, what are the benefits of my platform? And that's what I should be creating content around, like the things that it can allow you to do and the benefits around it. So now I can create content specific to the benefits of the software. The other thing is, when I get on in the content creation mode, I first need to have an opinion. Like, I can't just talk about something, I need to have a POV, which is point of view, right? I think that's what all journalists need to have when
Well, that's the
just
thing that reels people in.
they're not
Like
just
nobody just
reporting.
wants to listen to you blather on about something that anybody could say. People are attracted to people with a point of view. They want to hear your take on it.
Your opinion, like you need to have
Yeah.
an opinion on something. Otherwise, it's just passing on information, right? One of the angles that I learned about like forming your own opinion is asking yourself this question: what drives you crazy? Um,
That's
because
a good way to do it.
what drives you crazy makes you great. That's a saying that a friend of mine, Michelle Nure, always says, and that's something that kind of got into my head is like, what drives me crazy about coaching programs? What drives me crazy about marketing or running virtual summits? What drives me crazy about those things? Now that makes me it leads me to creating awesome content because now I get to express my opinion and offer a better way, in my opinion, right? So having that question in front of you, what drives you crazy around X being whatever the subject or the area of expertise? Like, what do other coaches say to your clients that drives you crazy? What do you see other coaches
Yeah.
do that drives you crazy?
You know, another thing that works really, really well is add a single question form to all of your thank you pages. Add a single question form that said, ask them a question. What's the biggest challenge you're facing to do with X today? Whatever it is you coach on, right? If you are a fitness coach, right? What is the number one thing in the way of your fitness goals? Question mark. What's the number one thing? Or what's something, if you don't want to say number one, like what's something that is in your way to get to this goal? Like ask them a question. People will share, right? Or if you ask, why? What brought you to this site today? Why did you sign up? What are you hoping to get out of this? What are you hoping to learn? Ask them a question, and you can even make it anonymous. So somebody doesn't even have to put in their email because they already signed up if it's on a thank you page. But gather that information, and people joining your list or joining your programs, they will tell you what they want to hear about, and they'll give you ideas. And they will be relevant to what you do because they're in that mindset of opting in for that free offer that you have, or signing up for that webinar that you're offering, or joining a Facebook group like the Coaching Genie Facebook group. We do this on Coach Factory. At Coach Factory, when you come and you sign up for our free ebook that we have, or you sign up for our free membership, on the thank you page, we ask, what's your niche? And then we ask a couple questions that are optional. But those questions tell us the niches of the coaches that are signing up. So we know, ooh, we had a lot of business coaches or a lot of life coaches sign up next month. Let's tailor the next batch of blog posts that we write for those coaches. Or we have people have said, oh, I wish I'm looking for a resource on this, or I'm looking something on this. They tell us what guides and resources and free downloads to create, or what topics to talk about on our podcast
So
for coaches.
you feel very connected to what content you
Yeah.
create because you are staying connected to your clients. I actually, I don't do private coaching as much anymore as I used to because I run Coaching Genie, and I any kind of coaching I do, it has to do with me training customers and
Yeah.
getting them to create programs, put them into Coaching Genie. But anytime I work with clients, one-on-one especially, I get content ideas from our coaching sessions. It's crazy. I never expected because they'll ask me a question, or I'll see them, they will see something as an obstacle or a mindset that I need to address. That immediately becomes, oh, this is great for my next piece of content. And so when you coach clients, a lot of content ideas can come from the questions they ask, from the obstacles you see them face, from the mind sets or mind shifts that they need to make. That is kind of how you can
Oh, yeah.
drive the sessions. So I have a question for you, and we can go on and on about content creation, but there is something really important. So when you're a coach and you create content, and you believe in content creation as a strategy to get clients, let's say you've been creating content for a year. You've been publishing your weekly newsletter, you put content on your blog, you have a YouTube channel, however you put that content out there, maybe social media content, but you're still not getting clients, or at least not as many as you expect. Maybe you're not filling your programs. Maybe nobody's signing up with you. So it feels like you're just putting yourself out there. You're creating great content, which usually takes a lot of time if you're not a content creator, like a natural content creator. And then you sit back and think, okay, why did I just spend a year creating all this content, publishing my newsletter, posting my YouTube videos? What's going on? Why am I not, where am I not landing with potential clients that would make them want to contact me and become a client? So what would you say to somebody like that who is creating content?
Well, that is a really good question. And there's a couple different ways to look at this. So the first is the assumption that it is great content. It's a tough pill to swallow, but sometimes it isn't that like you think the content is great, but it's great to you and it's not great to your audience. It's not great to the people that you're trying to attract, because where you're at and what resonates with you and what you like talking about might not be the content that meets your prospective clients where they're at. So the quality might be great, but might not be great for them. It might not be a great match. So we have to be careful not to make the assumption that we're creating great content and everything is great. So one, we have to take a look at that. But the other is you might have the perfect content for your prospective clients, but if it's not showing up where they are, then they're never going to see it. So you might love Instagram, but your coaches might be on LinkedIn. Or you might hate Instagram and you're on LinkedIn, but all your clients are hanging out on Instagram. Or you might think, no way am I adding another social media platform to my site. I'm not ever looking at TikTok. But who you're coaching, they may be hanging out on TikTok. Or you might be leaning really hard into an email newsletter and your clients don't check email very often. So sometimes you have great content, but it's not showing up where they are or where they need to see it. Yeah. So as much as creating content is important, distribution and promotion and marketing of that content is just as important. And the other thing is, content marketing, successful content marketing, isn't always about creating new content. Most people who are creating a lot of content could get even better results by creating 50% of the content that they create. And instead, using that time to go back to their content they've already created and make it better. Because the content you've already created has likely already been indexed by search engines. It already exists. It's gained equity. It's gained history. It's gained maybe backlinks. So going back in, looking at your analytics or your data and saying, wow, these posts are ranking really well. Can I add some stories or testimonials or some more information to make them even better and boost those rankings even higher? Yes. And if you add enough new content, you can change your publish date to be the current date. And then you're like, boom, done. Check this out. Or you go back in and you say, hey, this content here, it's not ranking bad, but it's also not ranking well. It's kind of sitting on page 5, 6. Could I add more to it and bump it up even higher so it gets found more often? Right. So like using content marketing to get clients, yeah, you create some new content, but you also want to go and improve your existing content to get even better results out of all the hard work you've already put in. And that likely will yield just as good a results.
Well, you touched on something really important. Creating content feels safe because it's in our control. Now, marketing your content, finding distribution channels, that is so unpredictable. There's so many black holes that it can pull you into. And you could do a lot of work with distribution and still not get your content where you want it to be. So that doesn't feel safe. And so we, as coaches and content creators, we tend to create more, focus more on creation than marketing and distribution. That is the
Well,
story.
marketing and distribution is where imposter syndrome always shows up. That's where the confidence piece always shows up, because creating content, writing a blog post on your own blog, and then just hitting publish, that's safe. Posting it on Facebook, posting it around, posting it and putting it in front of everybody, it's like, oh, I don't know, I might be posting too much. What are they going to say? That's that wrong over here. These people don't want to see that. All the negative stuff starts
And
to
is it
show
the
up when you start doing that.
and is it the right content? Am I publishing the right content? That also comes into play. So one of the things, so you said maybe it's not that great of content, and where your clients post it, use the distribution channels where your clients are spending their time. But also I was thinking that you need to have call to action of some kind,
Oh yeah.
especially if it's something like a newsletter where you publish your content to your audience that you already attracted. Now you are communicating with them, but maybe you're not asking for them to take action. You're not making any offers. So basically what you're doing is you're training people to receive free content for as long as they live. And what I found is that whenever somebody's promoting, maybe my program or my offer, their conversion rate will be lower if they have never made an offer to their audience. And if you trained your readers or your audience to receive offers, to see a call to action, the conversion rate will always be higher because you just trained them, right? But I want to go back to something you said, because I don't think I know the answer. I never given this a thought, and I know you're a terrific content creator. So Jennifer, what makes great content? Like, how can I look at my content and say, objectively, yep, this is great content? Is there
Ooh.
criteria? Or is it your internal thinking like, well, this is good content, it's not great content? What makes great content? And now, as you're thinking, I will tell you, years ago when I first started writing my blog and my articles and my newsletter, somebody told me that my content was very whatever the opposite of deep is, like shallow. It was
Oh
too
yeah.
surface level, like it's not deep
Yeah.
enough. It was
We
like
call it thin.
yeah, like just it wasn't very useful. And yet I thought I was doing great, but I
Mhm.
didn't have enough depth in my
Yeah.
knowledge like I do today. So now I can go deeper and I can go underneath the underneath topics and conversations, right? Like you and I
Well,
are like really excavating some of the points right now. That's an example of deeper content. But what makes great content?
I think great content, if you look at search engines and you look at Google, they're going to tell you, right? It has to be helpful, useful, it has to have be optimized, right? There are all the things that search engines will tell you that it has to be ranked. And there's people that are going to tell you it has to have a call to action and the right headline semantics, your H1 and then your H2s, and it'll have to have these things, right? So people will tell you all kinds of things. There are tons of checklists on how to create good content. But the bottom line is it has to help somebody either learn something or achieve something, right? Because if you think about it, people go to search engines and they search for something. They're looking for content when they have a problem, when they have a challenge, when they need something, when they're looking to learn something. They want to learn, they want to get something done, they want to tackle something, they want to change something. They have a need and they're looking for the right content to help them fill that need. Right? So they're fulfilling a desire, they're solving a problem, they're meeting a challenge, they're learning something. So when you are creating content, you want to think about, why am I creating this content? Why does it need to be created? What's the purpose? What do I want someone to do or achieve or know or learn or feel as a result of watching or listening or reading this content? And how do I make sure that when they're done listening, reading, or watching, they have the knowledge or the skills or the tools to do the thing that we're talking about, or at least take the next step. It doesn't have to solve everything, but take the next step. So the biggest problem that people run into is they pick a topic that's too big. I'll write a blog post on this big, broad topic, and you think, how on earth am I going to cover this well? The more narrow and tight, the more specific you get, the easier it is to create something super helpful and actionable. You want somebody, when they're done listening to your podcast or reading your article or watching your video, to say, now I can go do X, or now I feel confident about this, or that changed the way that I thought, right? So think about why am I creating this, and what do I want somebody to do, learn, feel, believe, change as a result? And if you define those things first and your content delivers, then you know that you're moving in the right direction.
I think that is really a starting point, is where do I want, what do I want to do? Where do I want this content to lead? What's my goal? So that's really important. And I also think that there are maybe different content creation styles based
Oh,
on
yeah.
based on your personality. For me, yes, I want to teach you something. I want to share something that you need to learn. But to me, good content or great content is when you experience some type of a mind shift. You have some aha moments that makes you think deeper. You experience a paradigm shift. So if I made you think, I consider that I wrote great content. And just for the sake of staying with the times, well, I looked up ChatGPT, what makes great content as the ultimate content creation AI tool. It tells me relevance, originality, clarity, authenticity, and then consistency and SEO optimization, depending on the goal of your content. So there's many different ways to look at it.
Well, and there's a lot of different ways to get there too. Like we have talked about, right, creating a lot of different content, but whether most people think of it in terms of writing, but not everybody likes writing. And some people hate it, and some people aren't good at it. They have deep expertise, but they're like, I'm not good at writing. I don't like it. I don't want to do it. I feel stuck. Every time I sit down to write, I feel icky, but I can talk, right? So you might be better on video, or you
Are you
might be
talking
better
about
on a
me?
podcast. Well, one of the things is we had a fantastic conversation. And I remember you telling me
Yeah,
that you don't love writing and creating blog posts and
very
things.
slow.
But when we talked, you had so much knowledge and brilliance to share. And we were able to take that video conversation and all of those insights that you shared and turn them into resources over at Coach Factory. Like we just published recently a VIP article for members only at Coach Factory by you about how to build confidence as a coach and attract more clients. And we talk about coaching Genie, and we talk about really how to show up powerfully as who you are, right? To attract your people. And we got that article. Yes, it's a blog article, but we got that from a video that was transcribed and then edited and pulled in, because not everybody works best from a Google Doc.
Well, and that's how I develop content. I start with a video conversation,
Yeah.
usually on my own. Usually I don't have such a brilliant partner like I do right now, but I record it and I send it to my team, and they edit it, they transcribe it, they turn it into newsletter article, a blog post, social media post. Just it becomes this starting point for me, because I do feel more comfortable just speaking out my expertise out loud. And then it becomes content in different formats. Now, one thing that we didn't touch on is coaching programs, because when you create a coaching program, you also need content. And many times people think that they need more content than they actually do. But most importantly, you need a component of your coaching program is content. And this is the reason why I even created Coaching Genies, because I had a ton of content from different coaching programs, different tools, resources, worksheets, videos, audios, little trainings, interviews, summit
Yeah.
recordings. And I could all put them together into programs, but I didn't have anywhere to put them. And so I needed a place, and that's where Coaching Genie became this, coaching content library that now I get to bundle all those pieces into programs and courses. But I'm curious, I know you have a coaching program, or you have multiple coaching programs. How much content do you think a coaching program must have, Jennifer?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think it depends on the style of program that you're selling and what the objective is. So I have um, I have a couple programs that are very, very heavy in content because it is business training with coaching.
Mm-hmm.
So that is very, very heavy in content, and it's workbooks and videos and worksheets and resources and downloads and all kinds of things like that. But then I have a different program that is more um, accountability, right? And it is about mapping out a 90-day plan. We do a 12-week plan. We map out the plan, and then it's accountability and getting work done over those 12 weeks. It's more of like a productivity, like get you done plan. But that's what the program is called. But for that one, it's the content is much less because it's coaching people through. The thing that you want to think about when you're developing content for your coaching program is, what do you say repeatedly? What do you do repeatedly? What is going to be the same for each person that goes through this experience? Because part of coaching is very unique to each person that goes through that program. The questions they have, the obstacles they run through, the things that you're going to coach them on, those will be done live and they're unique. But there's also an element that's the same for everyone. Like when they are onboarded in the beginning and they come in, what information do they need to know? What do they need to learn? What do they need to experience so everybody's on the same page at the beginning? So you're not repeating yourself 100 times.
Yeah.
And then when you get into your program, if you've got modules or you've got lessons or you've got different phases, you want to think about at each time, what does everybody need? And I like every time to ask, what do they need to know? What do they need to learn? And how do I want them to feel? And how can I make sure that that experience is consistent for everyone, no matter how busy I get in my business? And most of the time, that's through content. And that's why Coaching Genie is so amazing, because you can load all that content in and you can have it drip out, or you can have it show up at just the right time to meet those people where they're at as they experience it. Well, and you can show up brilliantly and do your thing
as a coach
without having to worry about the minutia all the way along.
That leveraging of your time and expertise.
Oh, yeah.
There's one other thing that you can do in Coaching Genie that makes it unique, is that you can take that content and you can customize it for each individual client, even if you are delivering a group program.
Oh, I love that.
Because every client is different, and they are maybe in different points in their coaching journey or their journey with you. And so even though they join the program and they're all in the same program, some people might be too advanced for everybody else and they need something extra or something else, something different. So that is something that I always needed. Like, well, I have these clients, it's a group of 20 people, and 3 clients have done this before, so they don't need the basics. So I just went ahead and removed the foundational pieces, just the basic pieces out of their curriculum, and everybody else was receiving them and they were not. So that piece to me allows me to treat each client as an individual, even in a group.
Oh, that's cool.
So that is one of the features that definitely, like, you can't do that in a course builder, because this is the course and this is what the course contains, and that's it, kind of like set in stone. With Coaching
Well,
Genie,
and that personalized experience makes those people feel more special. They feel seen. They feel recognized. They don't feel like, oh, I'm just treated like every other person. It's like, ooh, my experience is a little bit different because I've been here before.
Absolutely.
And that little shift has a big ripple effect.
You honor that as a coach, you honor
Yeah.
that they are in a different place. Jennifer, to wrap this up, let's just share our final thoughts on content creation, and this will be a wrap. What's your final thought on content creation for coaches?
Never hold yourself back because somebody else already said it. Too many times people don't create content because someone else already wrote that article or somebody else already recorded that video. But the people that know you and follow you and want to hear from you, they don't know those other people even exist. So the likelihood is they've never seen any of their content. So it doesn't matter if anybody has ever said any of the things that you want to say. The people that are right for you and the people that need you and the people that know you want to hear from you, and they need to hear your voice and your opinion.
I love that. I love that. I've always had this concern when I was starting my business, like, well, somebody else is already doing this. Somebody already created. Somebody has already taught this material. My coach would always say, yes, but your people want to hear from you. They want your
Yes.
take. They want your opinion. So brilliant. My final thought on content creation is that the secret to scaling your coaching business is appreciating your content. You want to capture it,
Yeah.
gather it, organize it, bundle it, and put it into Coaching Genie. But the point is that you really want to appreciate the content that comes out of you, because that's where you can transfer your knowledge without your presence, without you being there personally. And as you do that, that means you're saving time, you are leveraging your expertise and time, and you can do it over and over again, rinse and repeat. So there are moments in time where I would say to myself, I never want to teach this topic again, ever, ever again. I am sick and tired of teaching, for example, a topic of niche discovery, right? This is something that I've beaten down to death, this topic. I don't want to teach it anymore. So let me
Yeah.
record my expertise on how to do this once and for all, and I will never have to teach it again. And now I have a little training that I can give to, my clients in any program that I run. So appreciate content, capture it, organize it, make
Yeah.
it shareable, make it easy to share, and turn it into programs. And then you are going to be able to scale your coaching business with much more ease. Um, my name is Milana Leshinsky, and I'm the creator of CoachingGenie.com. And my amazing content creation partner today was Jennifer Bourne of CoachFactory.co, an amazing website with a great content. And I saw the content that is inside behind the VIP doors. So I just love it. I think you're phenomenal, and I'm excited to have done this with you today. Thank you, Jennifer.
Same.